You're in London, September 2nd, 1666. Just past midnight, London is asleep. The city has already survived the Black Death, a war with the Dutch, a plague that killed 1 in 4 Londoners just last year. Tonight feels ordinary, quiet, safe. In a small bakery on Pudding Lane, an oven is still warm. The embers have not gone cold the way they should have. A spark catches the hay nearby, then the wooden beam above it, then the wall. In the next 4 days, this city, 400,000 people, 1,000 years of history, will be reduced to ash and silence. But right now, nobody knows that. Nobody knows anything. The city sleeps. London in 1666 is not a modern city. It is a medieval maze, streets so narrow that the upper floors of houses on opposite sides nearly touch. Timber frames, thatch roofs, tar, pitch, coal, oil, stored in warehouses right along the riverbank. 400,000 people crammed into a space smaller than 3 square miles. No fire brigade, no organized emergency response. If fire breaks out, you pass buckets hand to hand from the nearest well. That is your fire department. And the summer of 1666 has been brutal. No rain for months. The timber buildings are bone dry. The wells are running low. One city official writes in his diary that the whole city feels like a tinderbox waiting for a match. He was right. The match arrives on the night of September 1st in a bakery, on a lane whose name, Pudding Lane, history will never let us forget. 3 things you need to know going in. First, this fire should have been stopped early. Second, it wasn't, because of one catastrophic decision. Third, what came after changed cities forever. The fire starts inside Thomas Farriner's bakery. He is the royal baker. He supplies bread to the king's navy. His oven was not properly extinguished before bed. At 1 a.m., his household wakes to smoke filling the ground floor. Farriner himself climbs out through an upstairs window. His wife escapes. His daughter escapes. His maid does not. She is too frightened to climb. She stays. She becomes the first recorded victim of the Great Fire of London. At this point, 1 house is burning. The fire is containable. A few men with buckets could end this right now. Nobody calls them. The wind picks up. Easterly. Strong. It is exactly the wrong direction, pushing the fire straight into the heart of the city. Fish Street catches, then Thames Street. Thames Street is the worst possible place for a fire. It is lined with warehouses full of coal, timber, oil, and rope. Each one is a bomb waiting. The warehouses explode one by one. The river itself seems to glow. Sir Thomas Bloodworth, the Lord Mayor of London, is woken and brought to see the fire. He surveys the scene. He has one real tool available to him: fire breaks. Demolishing houses ahead of the flames to create gaps the fire cannot cross. It requires his authority. Only he can give the order. He looks at the fire. He looks at the houses he would have to demolish. He thinks about the lawsuits from property owners. And he says, and this is a real quote, recorded by Samuel. He goes home, back to bed. By now, the fire has a momentum of its own. It is no longer a fire. It is a storm. Witnesses describe a wall of flame half a mile wide moving through the city. The heat is so intense that people feel it from boats on the Thames, 300 meters away. The sky over London turns the color of blood. In Oxford, 60 miles away, people can see the glow on the horizon. St. Paul's Cathedral catches. The scaffolding around it, it was under repair, acts like a ladder for the flames. The lead roof, tons of it, melts and pours through the streets below like a river. One eyewitness writes that the stones of the cathedral exploded like grenades from the heat. The medieval city is dying in real time. King Charles II himself rides out into the streets. He is covered in ash. He passes buckets alongside ordinary Londoners. He orders fire breaks. The demolitions Bloodworth refused. He personally pays soldiers to carry them out. It is too late to save the old city, but it stops the fire from consuming everything west of the walls. Without Charles riding out that day, the fire likely reaches Westminster. The palace. The government. All of it. The wind drops. The fire breaks hold. the Great Fire of London ends. Not with rain, not with a fire brigade, but because the wind finally, mercifully, changes direction. 87 hours after a bakery oven was left burning on Pudding Lane. Now here is the number that stops people cold. 13,200 houses destroyed, 87 churches, 87 hours of continuous fire. 70,000 people became homeless overnight. 6. In a city of 400,000. In a fire that burned for 4 days straight. How? Because Londoners did what Londoners do. They moved. Fast, chaotic, desperate, but they moved. Samuel Pepys describes the scene on the Thames. Boats so overloaded with rescued furniture and goods that some are sinking. People piling chairs, paintings, barrels, and children into any vessel that floats. Others flee on foot. Moorfields, the open park just outside the city walls, fills with tens of thousands of people camping in the open air. They have nothing. No food stored, no shelter, no plan. Just the clothes on their backs and whatever they grabbed running out the door. Pepys himself buries his most valuable possessions in the garden. His wine, his official documents, and, famously, a wheel of Parmesan cheese. His diary entry for that night is equal parts terror and dark comedy. A man trying to save his cheese while his city burns is one of the most human things in all of recorded history. There are also looters. There are always looters. Men arrested trying to carry off silver from burning churches. A French watchmaker named Robert Hubert confesses to starting the fire deliberately. He is almost certainly lying. He arrived in England 2 days after the fire started. He is hanged anyway. London needs someone to blame. And through all of it, the chaos, the smoke, the loss, almost nobody dies. The city empties itself out ahead of the flames. Somehow, against all odds. Here is the part nobody talks about. The fire was catastrophic. It was also, in a cold historical sense, an opportunity. The medieval city that burned was a disaster waiting to happen. Overcrowded, unsanitary. A plague had just killed 100,000 people, partly because the streets were so packed that disease moved like water through a sponge. Old London was not a city that could survive the modern world. The new London, built in the years after 1666, was different. By law, rebuilt houses had to be brick or stone. No more timber frames. No more thatched roofs. Streets were widened. Pavements were introduced. The city that rose from the ash was fundamentally more livable than the one that burned. Christopher Wren rebuilt 51 churches. His masterpiece, the new St. Paul's Cathedral, still stands today, right on the spot where the old one melted. When you stand beneath that dome in modern London, you are standing in a building that exists because of a baker's careless oven on a September night in 1666. And then there is insurance. Before the Great Fire, fire insurance did not exist. After it, the first fire insurance companies in the world were founded in London within years of the blaze. They hired their own fire brigades, marked buildings with metal plaques to show which company insured them, and refused to fight fires in buildings they didn't cover. It was ruthless. It was effective. It was the birth of modern insurance. The fire didn't just destroy London. It invented several industries that still exist today. Thomas Fariner never believed his bakery started the fire. He said so until his dying day. Nobody knew that one unextinguished oven would destroy the largest city in the English-speaking world. Nobody knew that one man's cowardice, one Lord Mayor's choice to go back to bed, would hand history its most famous act of negligence. Nobody knew that the ash and the ruin would become the foundation of something better. A city built for survival, for the future, for the next 1,000 years. London burned. The medieval city, the plague streets, the timber lanes, the 1,000-year maze was gone in 4 days. What came after was something entirely new, and it was built on the ash of everything that burned. Next video, Christopher Wren and the rebuilding of London, how one architect reshaped a city from the ground up.